So this is where you and I are going to disagree, I think, is in this next tier.
Yes.
Um, I have, for the record, 4 tiers in the West.
I
I think
I mine are a little goofy. I'm gonna be
you
completely
have like
honest.
6, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So give me your second tier. Give me your next tier here.
Memphis, Phoenix, New Orleans.
Memphis, Phoenix, New Orleans. Okay, interesting. So my next tier. So I'm going to assume you have the Clippers, the Lakers, and the Kings in the next tier.
Yeah, I have a good. That's called my good but not good enough tier.
All right. So I have all of these teams in that second tier. I
Okay.
have 6 teams in my second tier. It's the biggest tier in the league.
Who do you wait?
Memphis.
Who do you? I have
Uh,
I have 7. What team are we missing?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I see. Okay.
Memphis,
So yeah,
Phoenix, New Orleans,
I know who it is.
Sacramento, the Lakers, Clippers, Warriors.
I've got the Grizzlies, the Suns, the Clippers, the Lakers, the Pelicans, and the Kings. I do not have the Warriors. I have the
Okay.
Warriors in a tier below these 6 teams. Maybe that's a good place to start with this tier then. To me, I could see if kind of one or two things goes right for those 6 teams,
Mm-hmm.
I could see them being in the Western Conference Finals, right?
Yeah.
Like if Memphis, John Morant comes back, he's what he was before the suspension and the injury. Zach Edey is a good enough fit as a screen and roll guy. Desmond Bain is back and healthy. They eventually get Brandon Clark back. Jaren Jackson has a good year. All this stuff, and they just look like the Grizzlies from 2 years ago. Obviously, that's a team that could make the Western Conference Finals. Phoenix, same thing. Mike Budenholzer comes in. Tyus Jones and Monty Morris are a good fit. Better chemistry in year 2 of this Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal thing. Maybe Beal's a little bit healthier than he was last year. It's easy to see that team has the talent to get to the Western Conference Finals. It wouldn't be crazy to think that. The Clippers, I know they lost Paul George. They still have Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Ty Lue. This team was always going to go as far as Kawhi was healthy, with or without Paul George. So if you get a healthy Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs, this team can make the Western Conference Finals. The Lakers have LeBron and AD. They were in the Western Conference Finals 2 years ago. Would not be crazy for them to be in it again. The
Healthy
Pelicans, a
Kawhi.
healthy
Wes, just
Zion.
hold on. Healthy Kawhi Leonard is just like I'm done. I'm done. Assuming that's ever gonna happen.
You and I
Like
agree
it's
on this. I have a
okay.
rule, and it's to never trust the Clippers, but they deserve to be in this tier. The Lakers, we already talked. The Pelicans, uh, it's a deep roster. It's a good roster. It's well coached. If Zion can just stay healthy in the postseason, he could be one of the most dominant players in the league. It wouldn't be crazy to see them in the Western Conference Finals. And the Kings have like 2 All NBA guys between De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. They added DeMar DeRozan. They still have Malik Monk. I think this is going to be an offensive powerhouse potentially,
Mm-hmm.
as long as they can get the spacing and the lineups and all that kind of stuff settled. Mike Brown's a good coach. It wouldn't be crazy to me to see the Kings in the Western Conference Finals either if certain things break right. The Warriors though, it just feels like they need half a dozen things to go right for them to make the Western Conference Finals. It just doesn't seem realistic for them. So I have them in a tier below, even though I at first blush I would have put them in the same tier because of the Warriors and it's Steph, Steve Kerr, or Draymond Green. I just couldn't get there.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. I think I'm gonna bump them down to it. I kind of put. I wanted to put them and the Lakers in their own tier just as like they have 2 of the best like 10 players ever, including the guy I think is the best player ever on LeBron,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just like so much upside for that to go right. Whereas like Jamal Murray is one of the biggest question marks in the league as like a point guard. It's like we kind of know I think health provided what Steph is going to be.
Yep.
The the concern I think I have with them really just it's we talked about this last week. It's like teams that are in this weird spot where a lot of their young guys have to come through in a major way. Do the timelines add up? It's the same old thing with them. It feels like since they won the title, we've been stuck in a time loop with where the Warriors are at. Like it feels like they've just been in the same spot for 3 years now.
They since they won the finals in 2022, they have doubled down on youth. I don't think their roster. I think their roster is a little bit better than it was last year, but not in a major way that gets them to the top of the Western Conference. I mean, this was a play-in tournament team last year. They finished 10th in the West last year. They didn't do anything to substantially improve from that. So, yeah, I look at Steph Curry. He's going to have no help. Every opposing defense is going to throw the kitchen sink at him. and there's no real release valve, right? Like, even if he does throw that little pass to Draymond Green and Draymond's on the short roll, well, where is he throwing the pass to? This among the half dozen things that need to go right for the Warriors, maybe the biggest one is Jonathan Kuminga turning
Yeah.
into basically an all-star caliber player, right? He needs to take that leap now, and it needs to be a huge leap, and I just don't see it happening. Draymond is not that guy anymore. You can't rely on him offensively. I just don't know who the number 2 option is in Golden State. It's not. Maybe it's Brandon Podziemski. Maybe he takes the leap. Maybe it's Kuminga. Maybe one of these guys takes that major leap. But it just feels like so much has to go right for this team to break through to that next tier. But let's go back to that other tier with those other 6 teams.
Well, I think the Pelicans are the team I want to highlight.
Okay, let's do it.
Because what is are they just actually running this back with Brandon Ingram? And like didn't go get another center? Like this.
Can I tell you my favorite fake trade that I just came up with?
Please hit me.
All right, so we know that the Pelicans can't move Brandon Ingram, and the Bulls can't move Zach LaVine.
Oh no. I'm shooting this one. And
Wait, let me tell you the whole thing.
Oh my God. Oh boy.
The Pelicans also can't trade for a center. Do you see where I'm going with this?
I don't like it, Wes.
So here's the deal. Here's the trade.
Oh boy. Oh man, this is sad.
And it works in the trade machine, so it works in real life.
That's how this works.
The Pelicans trade Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum to Chicago. And the Pelicans get Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic, and Javon Carter for salary matching purposes. So you get LaVine, who makes a lot of sense next to Zion Williamson, not only because they were in that Mountain Dew commercial together, but also because he's a legitimate floor spacer off of Zion. That makes a ton of sense. He would be the best shooter that New Orleans has had in a long time.
Yeah.
Vucevic is not a great center, but he's better than what the Pelicans have. And he can at least theoretically space the floor. He had a terrible three-point shooting year last year, but I think it can only really get better than what it was last season. So he could theoretically space the floor with Zion, kind of be his Brook Lopez. And then if you're the Bulls, you get to experiment with Brandon Ingram for a year. Why not? You're not playing for anything. And I kind of like CJ McCollum for them as sort of like a backup, veteran guard to teach Kobe White and Josh Giddey the ways of being an NBA guard and a professional. So I don't know. It's my favorite trade. It's like not quite a win-win, but if both teams are just desperate enough to get out of their current situations, it's definitely not a lose-lose.
You had me at Javon Carter.
Okay, very good. That's the part that tips it over. Okay.
Yeah, that's the edge. That would not be a bad risk for the Pelicans to try to get better right now. It's like the McCollum thing is not. I think he's kind of like not exactly what they need. LaVine isn't, or Vooch isn't really what they need either. But like considering like their assets are kind of what they are, it feels like that could be a way out to some.
They're
degree.
starting Yves Missy right now. Probably he's the projected starter. He might. I like him a lot, but he's a rookie.
Yeah, it's a rookie, and Vooch doesn't. Vooch is like a spacer off of Zion. The real answer might just be like a lot of Zion at the 5 because Zion can just like wreck in that way, and defensively we'll see where he gets. I think that roster just where I'm stuck with them. It's like I think the highs are incredibly tantalizing because of Zion, because of I think some of the role guys like Trey Murphy, a lot of upside there. I think Herb Jones, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, who's really developed as a shooter as well. There's just like upside for that team to seeing what the push they've given teams in the playoffs at the time, what Zion is and what we know how unguardable he can get. There's upside there that feels like the roster right now doesn't give them a chance of actualizing. Like of the teams in this tier, West, it's like I think Memphis and Phoenix are the 2 teams I would feel most interested in like placing like a wager on. Okay, does this team like have the upside? Like I think just based on the high end talent in Phoenix and then what Memphis can be, and they're going to be a regular season wins machine. It's like I think there's a good case for those teams to just still, if you want to talk yourself into something, about being dangerous to push some of these teams to the top tier, particularly considering the vulnerabilities of the teams below Oklahoma City. New Orleans could be the 3rd team if we were going to put a match 3 for 3, but it just feels like the roster's just not quite there, even if I'm very tantalized and intrigued by it.
Yeah, the problem with New Orleans is, again, right now, the Brandon Ingram question is looming over this organization. He's not reporting to the workouts in California that apparently reporting out of New Orleans is that they thought he was going to be there. I guess they're voluntary, but not like super voluntary.
It's
I
those
guess, but
yeah.
yeah. So and they don't have a center. They don't have an NBA center. This team actually might deserve to be of all the 6 teams might deserve the most to be in the lower tier because it just feels like it's incomplete right now.
Yeah.
They have some serious questions about this roster. I just think we're assuming that those questions are going to be answered sooner rather than later. And it feels like they need to make something happen. Does a Brandon Ingram trade happen before the regular season? And it seems like he's trying to force his hand. And he posted that thing on Instagram about don't be around people who obviously don't want you to be there.
I pulled up an Athletic news story that had this aggregated, that had like a post about this. Apparently, he organized these workouts in the past.
He used to,
And
yeah.
then, yeah. And then it was a post from a Houston area pastor named Keon Henderson speaking about the importance of, quote, staying away from environments where people don't know the true value of you, end quote.
Right.
That
so
seems
he posted
like
that to his Instagram. It's
healthy environment for the Pelicans right now.
So he's trying to force his way out of there. I don't know that it's going to happen because he's on an expiring contract. He obviously wants that max extension. He's not a max player. And the new CBA kind of pushes these guys down, and he's going to be kind of the ground zero for guy who used to get paid max money because we used to just do that to guy who no longer gets paid max money anymore. And by the way, this is the same reason why the Bulls can't trade Zach LaVine because he already signed that max money contract. And him and Brandon Ingram are very similar in that, hey, good player. Nobody doubts that. Way too overpaid. Not good enough to be one of our top 2 paid guys on a championship roster. So where do you fit? That's my biggest thing. So they're going to find out. It feels like they need to make another move. Of this whole group, though, which team can you see, if things break right, you can kind of most see them being in the NBA Finals? Like, is there a team that between Memphis, Phoenix, the Clippers, the Lakers, and the Kings, is there a team that you most see being able to make the finals if things go right for them?
I would say not any one in particular over the others, but I would say it's like Memphis, Phoenix, or the Lakers, and I don't feel great. Like I feel not great about any of those.
Yeah.
All of them just have question marks. All of them have things working against them in big ways, but it's like those are the 2 teams that I feel like have at least like something solid to rest on right now. Obviously, the Lakers, like they have a head coach who's never coached at any level before besides like his kids, and like I have no idea how that's gonna go. You know, like we're gonna see.
Yeah.
Like
but they still have LeBron and Anthony Davis.
Yeah, and that is still dangerous. Like the role guy, if there's a D'Angelo Russell trade out there at some point, I think for them to try to get something else in there that maybe just cores them a little bit together. But yeah, I don't feel like I don't think any of these teams. Maybe Memphis is the right answer.
For Memphis, to me, what has to happen is, first of all, they got to get healthy. There's probably another trade to make. I think that's the case for Memphis and the Lakers. Like, there's another trade to make. I think that Memphis should be on the phone with Brooklyn trying to get Dorian Finney-Smith. Like, it makes so much sense for them. Yeah. But what more than anything is, doesn't it feel like Anthony Edwards kind of stole John Morant's thunder a little bit?
He did. 100%. He's
John Morant was going to be the next.
Yeah,
John Morant was going to be the next American face of the NBA, and Anthony Edwards is like, actually, no, I'm gonna. And he's right. He totally is. But that leap that we all thought John Morant was going to make is still there for him to make, right? Mm-hmm. Like he could, just because Anthony Edwards took this leap doesn't mean he can't. So if John Morant takes that leap and turns into a top 5, 6, 7 guy, then yeah, the Grizzlies can absolutely be playing in the finals. Like that is absolutely in their wheelhouse. It would also require Desmond Bane coming back because he was hurt last year. And like, does he look great? And does he have another mini leap to go? Jaren Jackson, is he as good as he's been in the past? Another defensive player of the year caliber year. Zach
Where do they get out of
it? I mean, right away.
They have center questions, I think, is probably the big thing. It's just does Brandon Clark come back healthy? And what does he look like?
When does he come back?
There. And what does Edey give you as a rookie? I mean, Edey...
It's a little bit different than Yves Missy because at least Edey, we know for sure, is 7'4".
He's huge. Which is also very different for them. Like, they haven't really had, like, this big presence in the middle in any way.
Not since, like, Steven Adams, and he wasn't obviously as big as Edey, but, like, Steven Adams is strong. And so all you need is a guy to set a brickyard screen for Ja Morant just to give him an inch so that he can get downhill. And that's all of Edey's job. And I actually feel pretty good about him being able to do that.